Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. Tonight, I want you to remember this one phrase. Not racist, not violent, just no longer silent. Come on, let's go. Hello, America. If you've been a listener of mine for, gosh, it's almost been 10 years now of me on the radio, then you might remember a time when my radio show was based in comedy. I used to try to, it was much more like Jon Stewart, really, on the radio. We would look at the news of the day and try to make our points, but make them in a funny way. Obviously, I was conservative, where Jon Stewart is not. But today, over the last 10 years, I have found myself in a position where I never intended on being. You know, the show is day by day is about as funny as smallpox, quite honestly. And there's a lot of stuff that I do that I don't want to. Recently, I got a lot of heat for telling Forbes magazine that my company is an entertainment company, but only after they printed half of that quote from that conversation. Were people saying that. When they went back and they wrote another story and finished the rest of the line, people understand what I was saying. My company is an entertainment company, but I find myself now in a position where I believe the republic is on fire. And the quote said that I don't think sending a cartoon dog out with a fire hose is the way to put it out. The reason why I tell you this is because I think our lives are about to change. Man, we have been so lucky. We are the luckiest people on the face of the earth. We really are. We have lived at a time where freedom and technology have been at man's zenith. Never before has life been like it has been when we were growing up. Not even for our parents or our grandparents. I mean, this was a pretty sweet gig we have going for us. And I don't think we're much different than each other. I want to go to the mall and go shopping. I want to go to the movies. I don't want to think about all the things that we now have to think about. Unfortunately, it's time for us to be the greatest American generation, because we're not just protecting our republic for us. This isn't a selfish thing. This is for our children. Quite honestly, and I find myself talking more and more about God lately, because I think that's where our solution lies, with God. This land, if you believe the founders, was founded through divine providence, which means this land is sacred and special, and it's going to be used for his purposes, which means our rights, they're not ours. We're holding them until he has a reason, until that generation comes to do whatever they're supposed to do. I don't know, that's my guess. We've talked on this program about faith, hope, and charity. I'm going to be real frank with you. When we started it up, I painted those paintings. I wasn't exactly sure how this direction was going to work on television, and I still don't know if it is, but here's something you won't hear on TV. I introduced faith, hope, and charity because I felt led. I felt the promptings of the Spirit, or whatever you want to call it, that's the direction the show should go in. I'm not sure exactly, I'm being completely honest with you here, I'm not really sure where this is going to lead. I don't know how this ends. I really don't. I told my staff today, I feel like sometimes we're in a plane, and I know the airport is down there, but I can't see the landing strip yet. And I know we're in the area. I want to bring you the news of the day, but I don't want to bring you the news of the day. And the reason why I don't is because I'm not the guy to do it. I'm just the guy who happens to be sitting in the chair. And it doesn't seem to me that anybody else is going to do it. And it has changed my life. You know, I sat down with my family, about a year and a half ago, and we got down on our knees and we prayed, and then we had a family conversation. And I said, do you guys believe your dad? Yeah. I said, if I say these things and I start to do these things on television and radio, it's going to change our life and not for the better. And Dad's going to not be liked by an awful lot of people. And we made a decision as a family that we didn't really have a choice. We have a duty. I find myself in this position. I happen to truly believe these things. I think you find yourself in the same position. So now what are you going to do? Shut up about it? There is a struggle. There's a struggle every day of trying not to be divisive. I mean, before, a year ago even, I had to try to entertain people and bring them to this message and try to make it entertaining. I think our country has changed so dramatically in the last year, and we're entering dangerous, dangerous territory. Last night I turned on the computer and I turned on the Drudge Report, and I saw that Time magazine and Joe Klein said that I was engaging in sedition. And my wife looked at me, and I know I'm practically 100% chick, and she looked at me and she said, "What's wrong?" And it was like a horse stepped on my chest, and I said, I love my country. I love my country. I don't even understand how speaking out now can be sedition, but that's what Klein said about me and also Sarah Palin and then Rush over the weekend. Here's how he laid it out.
I did a little bit of research just before the show. It's on this little napkin here. I looked up the definition of sedition, which is conduct or language inciting rebellion against the authority of the state. And a lot of these statements, especially the ones coming from people like Glenn Beck and to a certain extent Sarah Palin, were right up close to being seditious.
Well, and this is, and Joe's right, and they'll name another person, name Rush Limbaugh, who uses this phrase, constantly talks about the Obama administration as a regime.
Okay, first of all, the napkin makes me think that maybe, Joe, you should spend a little more time researching. The only piece of evidence he cited is that Rush uses the word regime. Well, maybe John should have done a little napkin journalism, and Googling before he went on the air as well. It may have helped him find out that the term regime was used 6,500 times to refer to the Bush administration since January 20th, 2001. The host he was talking to used the term to describe Bush, and Helaman himself used regime to describe the Obama administration at least 4 times. So I'm trying to figure out how they can use the word regime, and it's not a problem, but Rush uses it. See, it's a game. It's a game. And they're trying to get us to argue and call each other names and just ratchet it up. And I ain't going to play that game. How is it seditious to disagree with the President of the United States in America? How is it seditious to say the Democrats and the Republicans spend too much money? What is seditious about telling people to get involved, know your candidates before you vote? I love my country. I don't hate the government. I hate what we have all of us, allowed our government to become. And not just with Obama, but for the last 100 years. I didn't wake up to this until, 5 years ago. I don't hate Obama. I pray for this president every single night with my children. I disagree with him. And I disagree with the progressives a lot. They think the Constitution is a living, breathing document that needs to change with the times. I do not. That's fine. Let's have that conversation. I take him at his word that he fundamentally wants to transform the country. I'm just asking the question, into what? Get the real debate in the open. If that's seditious, who are we? I think I may be the most naive person in America. But then I meet you. I think we all were on September 11th. A year ago, I really thought that if I could prove this, if I could lay out the